This is Arthur Rosenfield from our LIC, and I'm here at the Emmanuel Kaplan School, PS 229, and I'm with a bunch of sixth graders. Well, they're currently doing some New York City chalk work, where this class is going to be participating in a ceremony to recognize the 100th anniversary of the Triangle Shirtwaist Company fire, which took 145 lives and has changed a lot of things, the way we do things in the country, actually. So here is a teacher, who is organizing this. This is Carolyn Roswell. And tell us what you're doing and why you're doing this visit to the cemetery today.
Okay, today is the 100th anniversary of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. March 25th, 1911, 146 mostly young immigrant Jewish and Italian women, mostly teenagers, died in a fire. Because it's the anniversary and because our school is only 4 blocks away from a memorial that has been built for them. The memorial was built many years ago, but most people in the neighborhood don't even realize it's there. So today being the 100th anniversary, there is a lot of things going on in New York City. So one idea that I got from a thing called the Triangle Coalition is that you take chalk, sidewalk chalk, and we write the names of the deceased and the date that they died and that it was in the Triangle fire, and you write it in the chalk on the sidewalk. And we also put some posters up, and we're going to add some more posters.
Okay.
And this is these are my 6th grade students. I'm a social studies teacher. I teach 6th grade computers and social studies, and I was out here about a half an hour ago with my first 6th grade class, and now I'm out here with this class, and then at 1 o'clock we're going to walk, my next class, we're going to walk to the cemetery and be part of the
So these students here from your school are writing the names of the people who died in that fire, the young women, and their ages, 21, 19, 18. And they're writing them in the. Is this happening? Is this sidewalk writing going on all over New York today?
Yes, there's definitely at least 2 or 3 of this same type of events going across the city. There's at least 1 or 2 others that I know of besides mine, and maybe it'll become more popular.
So tell us how you describe this fire and this tragedy to the students in the classroom.
All right. Well, I explained to them that 100 years ago, it wasn't very easy to be a young girl in New York City, especially if you came over on steerage as an immigrant. And they had the sewing skills, but they had no rights. And so it ties into child labor and it ties into immigration. So they know about that already from 4th grade. So I just remind them that, okay, well now you have all these young immigrants living in the city, and there's so many of them that the factory owners don't really have to pay them a lot of money, and that they didn't have heat, they didn't have electricity. It was often cold in the winter and hot in the summer. That's where they got, sweatshops, although the term sweatshop didn't really come from it being hot. So then I explained that the owners of this factory didn't follow any fire safety rules, and 100 years ago they didn't have to. There were no laws saying you have to have a working fire escape or you have to have working sprinkler systems. And what made matters worse is that the owners locked the doors for fear of they thought the girls would sneak out or steal cloth, and they locked the doors, and that's a lot of the reason why most of the girls on the 9th floor died. The factory owned 3 floors, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. The owners were on the 10th, and they got out, and the people on the 8th, where the fire started, they all got out, but it was the women on the 9th floor and men that mostly perished.
So how do the students react? Do they have questions that they ask you about this, and how do they internalize it?
I think after I've been talking about it all week long, and I think they finally have internalized it. But the big idea that we want them to come away with is because of this fire, many laws were passed to protect people in the workplace. And that's really the message we want. We don't want them to forget. Number one, you don't want to forget the young girls who lived this life, where 12 hours a day they worked, and they didn't even have a chance to have a life of their own yet, and they died. And that's the one thing you want them to remember. The other thing is, why do we remember this fire? Besides it being a tragedy, it's because it was a turning point in labor laws.
I understand. And do any of these children who are perhaps from immigrant families coming from countries that don't have the same advances in labor laws that we've had, do they relate to that in perhaps a different way? That they've left countries?
More. I think the students who have only been in this country maybe for one generation, or that their parents were the ones to just come over, I think they feel it more. I think they can relate to it more.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. This is great.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to being at the cemetery and seeing how the children respond to that experience.
Would you like to interview a student right now?
Absolutely.
Okay. Samantha! Yes. What's my card? Mr. Rosenberg's going to ask you some questions.
Hi, Samantha. Tell me what you're doing here and what this is all about.
Well, we are writing the names we chosen on the internet for the death of the Triangle Factory fire, and we're writing all the names because we want to remember them, so that way it doesn't.
Show me the name that you've been writing.
Okay.
Josephine Camarada, 17.
Yeah.
Francis Caputo, 17. Celia, 17.
They're all 17, and they died in the Triangle Factory. I hope that this fire doesn't happen again, because it was really sad, and the owners, they should have gone into jail, because they did something bad, and I don't know why the judges were men. The women should be there, so that way they can fight up for the women too.
So how do you feel about that?
I feel sort of upset because the women didn't get justice for their death. They didn't really, have any justice for themselves, but the men, they were free to do what they want.
Well, things are a lot better now.
Yeah.
It's 100 years later, they're a lot better.
Yeah.
So when you get to be 17 years old and you go to work, you're going to have a lot better opportunity and a lot better safety.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hope that nothing happens like that again.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very nice to meet you, and thanks for doing this.